from Nora Amos that she is traveling, but um, it's funny that she said this because she said if we have trouble getting a quorum, to let her know and she'll see if she can join. So let me email her really quick because what I'm counting now, we need one more locality member.
Okay.
Here comes Sherry.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello. So I think we can go ahead. I'm pulling up the agenda. Sorry. And take roll call.
Okay. Town of Ashland, Miss Amos. Charles City County, Miss Adams.
Here.
Chesterfield County Chair Smith.
Here.
Miss Walker.
Here.
Goochland County, Mr. Longerbeam.
Here.
Mr. Gillespie. Hanover County, Mr. Vidunez.
Here.
Thank you. Henrico County, Miss Smidler.
Here.
New Kent County, Miss Inman.
Here.
Powhatan County, Mr. Webb.
Hello,
Hello.
I'm
City
here.
of Richmond, Miss Clark.
Morning. Afternoon. Here.
Good afternoon. GRTC, Mr. Adarqua. Miss Robinson. CVTA, Mr. Parsons.
Here.
Plan RBA, Mr. Bushing. DRPT, Ms. Dubinsky. Mr. Hudson. VDOT, Mr. Totten. Mr. Riblet.
Here.
Miss McAdory. And RMTA, Miss Dean. Virginia Port Authority, Miss Nelson.
Here.
That concludes the roll call for attendance. We do have a quorum.
Great. Thank you, Janice.
Mhm.
So we'll move on to item 4, approval of the May 12th meeting minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes? And are there any changes, revisions, additions? And if there are none, someone could make a motion for approval.
Madam Chair, so move approval of the minutes.
Thanks, Dirana. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Sherry. We'll handle this with a voice vote. All in favor of approval of the May 12th meeting minutes, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Moving on to public comment period. Is there anyone that would like to make a public comment, or have we received any public comments?
We have not received any requests.
Okay. All right. It's item number 6 is bond issuance and update from the finance director's work group. Chet, if you can let us know what happened.
Sorry, I just shared to the screen. This is the agenda packet item. Regarding the update from the finance director's work group. It was a good meeting. Probably, I didn't do the math, but I think over half of the finance directors are new to the position since the last time the finance director's work group met. So this was a good opportunity to reintroduce everyone at the locality level to what the CVTA is and kind of what the responsibilities were that the authority outlined in their memo that they adopted, I believe back in April. So that was review was probably the first half of the meeting, but then we got down to kind of understanding what each of the finance directors was comfortable with, and with the advice of bond counsel, kind of what the sequencing should start to be as we move down the road towards project selection and putting together a package. to put out to the market. So some of the operating assumptions are listed here on the screen. And this kind of goes back to what we discussed at our last month's meeting regarding, everybody was looking for more information on, what's the total package going to be? What's the time frame that we should be working with? So just going down from 1 through 5, the earliest date for issuance would be next spring, spring of 2026, which would also coincide, I think, intentionally with the announcement of the round 4 regional funding package. So it would kind of put everyone in this call. You would have the kind of the full platter of options available to know like what projects you're putting in or what projects you're receiving regional funding for through the PAYGO process. That would help maybe inform what the priority is for putting a project out for the bond. So spring of 2026 will be the earliest. The advice from bond counsel is to expect a 24-month spend window from the date of issuance for a bond package. So that kind of gives the time frame on how shovel ready a packet or a project needs to be when it's advanced for consideration. The maximum leverage for the region at this point is around 300 million. So that will be the top tier of what the package might entail. The authority could decide to put out something at a lower scale, depending on what the options are in terms of projects that are advanced for consideration. Everyone is requested to submit one high priority project for consideration per jurisdiction. That'll put us on a good level to understand what the total impact is going to be in terms of financial needs. And then the 5th item there is each of those projects that are submitted should have high level details, including project name description, general vicinity map, phasing timeline, and expected year of expenditure, and then any other funding sources that are envisioned or committed already at this point for that project. So that'll all help in the decision-making process in terms of what that final bond package might be. That's a quick overview. I'm sure folks on the call have questions. So, Madam Chair, I'll turn it back to you at this point.
Okay. So when do you want that project submitted?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that depending on at this point, I think it's another discussion on whether we have a July meeting, but I would envision the August 22nd authority meeting, which is their next scheduled meeting, would be a time that would be the earliest that we would want to have TAC, present something at least just for consideration to start the discussion. So that would be, I guess, the earliest time frame would be to have something by, let's say, August 1st. That would put that, if we got everybody to advance the project by August 1st, that would put us on track to discuss it at our August TAC meeting in terms of the overall list. And then that could set us up for the August authority meeting. If you really feel strongly that it's not a doable target, then we could delay till September. But I would suggest as early as TAC can put this preliminary list together, the better, because then we can, have all the other pieces moving at the same time.
And how does this mesh with the regional, this next round of regional?
Yeah, I mean, I think it could inform which projects you all propose, because I think there's multiple ways to do this. It could be a totally standalone project that you're not applying for regional funds for. It could be something that you apply for regional funds for and then look for bond proceeds to help fund a second percentage of that project. Or it could be some other combination. I mean, I think it all depends on the localized approach and other funding sources. I think there's probably multiple variables that would inform which projects get proposed.
Okay. So I see this 24-month spend window. Um, we don't necessarily have to submit a project that would. Our bond projects don't necessarily have to be in a position to spend over that 24 window. You could use existing projects on the plan to spend down within the 24 months, right?
I think that's probably true. I think we would want to. That's a great question to take back to for me to take back to the finance directors, especially I like someone like Matt Harris who he's dealing with that now with your bond package in Chesterfield to understand what the allowances are and what we wouldn't want to do. So I think that's a great question to get some more information on.
Okay, and you have asked us to, it's later on the agenda, but you've asked us to update our regional spend down plans.
Yes.
And so that's how you could figure out how much, like kind of predict how much you can spend on those existing projects to meet the 24-month
Right.
spend
Yeah.
down.
The spend down plans should loosely coincide with the allocations plan, which was adopted after round 3, which shows through FY31 right now what the project spend is going to be each fiscal year. So yeah, we would use that. I'd work with Miles and his team to update the availability of funds from year to year, so that we could start to slot in if bond funds were available, what kind of flexibility we have in each fiscal year to add projects.
Okay. Thanks. Dirona?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I had a couple of the same questions, maybe not exactly the same angles, but definitely the same questions with that coinciding with the regional funding package. It sounded like earlier when you started talking about that, you said that they would make the round 4 decision and then, maybe go into the bonding, but you're actually asking for the project before. So I guess you could clarify that for me. But in any regard, in having it in August and September, I don't know what impact it has on coinciding with the regional funding package. If you have to have one before the other is going to come out, as far as the selection of the round 4. And then yeah, and to Barb's point in regard to the 24 months. I'm not all the way sure. Yeah, we do want to check because I know when they specifically put a project package together, they anticipate that we spend the money for that project package, Barb. Yeah, and I don't know how then they could do that replacement of, hey, this is the spin down of a current project in the allocations plan versus this money was, kind of like they do the CIP, it was for this specific project when you took out the bond. So we definitely want to check on that question. But yeah, that was all. Just trying to get that clarification. You made a good point though, Chet, about, we have the option of applying for your big project either in the round 4 and in the bonding call for projects. But yeah, getting that clarification on like, because what exactly is it the finance working group needs the immensity or the or what the one project per locality looks like to help to do their work? Can you tell me like why that's needed in August or September?
Yeah, I think well, to the last question first, the for lack of a better word, the enormity of the slate of projects is going to be helpful for finance directors and finance committee to understand, will we need, is the project ask for the region going to be $1 billion? Is it going to be 300? Is it going to be 150? What's kind of the scale of what the need is or what the request is for a bond package? And I think that'll help inform a lot of things, like what's the on the finance side, what's the package going to look like in terms of putting together all the paperwork? On the secondary benefit is understanding on a regional scale for TAC, if we're looking for $1 billion, what's draft number two of the project list look like to try and scale it back to something that would be more reasonable for a bond package. So I think it's really to just put everything on the table and start to understand, at least on the working side, how much is left to do to get us over that end goal of having a package that can be put out to the market. I think the first question, I don't know if I can't remember if there were other ones, was in regard to the timing for asking for the bond package for the projects in August. And I think that timing allows for some creativity on behalf of the localities, depending on your other sources and all the work that's going on at the local level at any one time, in terms of being able to put out, here are all the projects that we're seeking funds from the Cvta to help support. And if we go through the evaluation process for regional round 4 through the fall, this is just one example, and we're looking at Project X for the city of Richmond. If Project X is also seeking funds through a bond proceed, then that may help inform the decision making at the end of the cycle for the authority. If Project X is seen as, we're putting all our eggs in this one basket in terms of priority, there may be multiple ways to approach the funding. There may be different decisions based on the availability of the bond proceeds versus the regional fund, the PAYGO available funds. So I think it really just, I think we want to show our cards for round 4, for the timing of round 4, so that we understand, where each locality is in terms of your priority lists of what you're seeking Cvta support for.
So are you saying, before I thought it was sort of separate, right? You've got round 4, regional project submittal, and then the bond. So you don't want us to, you want the bond project submitted sort of separately. And then it's up to us whether we want to apply in round 4 as well.
Yes, absolutely. We have an adopted
But they're all
process
going to be
for-
mushed together in
Yeah.
the round 4 consideration.
No. I think what we want to do is set things up so that the authority members, the elected officials, understand as we are evaluating round 4 that, City of Richmond or Chesterfield County also is looking for bond proceeds to help support, Project X. And that decision on the bond package would come after round 4 is awarded. But just, I don't want to, in full transparency, I want to make sure that, finance committee, elected officials, finance directors are all aware of, these are all the projects that are seeking priority funds in, FY25, FY26. But I think the bond
Priority
decision,
fund. Priority funds, what?
CVTA funds from any
Regional
source.
funds.
Yeah.
Okay. Amy?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I think you asked the question I was kind of going after as well. But I'm assuming that our sort of wild card projects, the smaller localities would count even in the bond package. So when we're putting forward priority projects, I'm assuming that it's fair game for us to put in a wild card.
That's a great question, and I would assume yes. I don't think there are. I mean, we don't have, unless the process, finds its way out otherwise. I don't think that there are restrictions at this point on what that bond package would include.
And then my next request is, Chet, could you please send out the last funding program from our last round, like what was
The allocations
projects were
plan.
funded for the allocation?
Yep,
Thank you. I just
I
want to
will. And actually later on the agenda, I'll point to it so you can go find it yourself.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So yeah, I didn't see this as an item on our agenda, but round 4, CVTA regional project request. What is the schedule? How much money is available? Um, can you, right, doesn't it start July when our applications due? We need,
Yeah, I'll put that in the chat. It's in the it was adopted, early in the spring by the authority, but it's that roadmap chart that we all looked at. But yeah, July, I think the entire month of July is the application window.
because we're in June.
Yes, yeah. I mean,
So,
we're not gonna shift far from the last format for the application, so it shouldn't be much of a surprise to anyone. But that's what we're working on between now and July 1 is putting that form on the website so everybody can access it just like you did for round 3.
okay, so everybody on the call, applications for CVTA regional are due at the end of July, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And how, can you give us an idea of how much money is available?
I don't have that at the tip of my finger, but I'll send out an email following the meeting. Does that work?
Okay, that sounds great.
Okay.
Joe?
Uh, thank you. I think you touched on a lot of the things that I had questions about. So I won't repeat those. One thing though, Chet, could you clarify the 24-month spin down? What that means? So if a project were awarded to a particular locality, um, does that mean that the amount of funds awarded must be spent within a 24 hours, 24 months of award? Is that what?
Yeah, that's the message I'm getting is that just the nature of bonds. If bonds are awarded for a certain package, then the expectation from the market is that the return is going to happen not immediately, but within a shorter time frame. So the goal will be to advance projects that are basically ready to go at the time of application.
So
But
ready for construction. Because I don't have any personal experience with bonds, and the development of these projects, if it's from PE, it's a 6-year process.
Right. I don't know. I think that's a great question. I would assume that like a design build would be an option as well. That would have everything included under one contract. But I think that's another great question for our financial advisors to see what would qualify and what wouldn't.
right, and it got to what Darona was saying, is it depends on how the bond is worded. So it could be worded in such a way that our existing projects can help us meet that 24-month spend down. It doesn't necessarily mean a submitted bond project has to be able to spend the money in the 24-month window. So we need to evaluate our existing regional cash flow to see how much we can spend in 2 years. And if we can meet all of it, and then it's really just shifting this CVTA regional from being programmed as part of our plan as being addressed with the bond. So and maybe we can't do all 300 million, but you can do 150 million with existing projects so that the selected projects for bonding might make up the other 150. But yeah, finance director's working group.
Yeah,
Amy?
I will get back to you with better detail on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That seems very creative, Barb. So, yeah. My question is, Chet, will the amount of available funding include any of the projects that are subject to deallocation? Because they've already been on for 2 years. And I can't, and pardon me if I've forgotten, but I don't remember what that list looked like. But I know since we have our policy now for deallocation, where do we stand with reconciling the projects that may be subject to that? And how will that impact our level of available funding for this next round?
Amy, I'm sorry, I'm not quite sure I follow.
So, so we have a certain amount of money that will be available, right? Of our funding in our next window of funding. But part of that, right, we have projects that may be subject to deallocation because they've already been on for two cycles. So have we gone through and reconciled the projects that may be subject to deallocation? And have the localities been notified of that and given the opportunity to request extension of those funds? I believe that's in concert and in agreement with the policy that we adopted for the allocation. So I don't know how much money that is, right? How much money may be on projects that haven't advanced, but are within that deallocation policy.
Okay, yeah, I don't know that offhand, in terms of what projects. I don't think there are any that are immediately subject to deallocation. I think everybody has either advanced funding in one way or another, or changed updated the
Leverage
package,
amount.
the leverage amount. But we'll verify, and I'll put that on as an agenda item for either next meeting, or I'll send out an email in between.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, moving on. Did we have any homework? Oh, submit your bond project by August 1st.
Yes.
Okay. Um,
So just a housekeeping. So I will send out a follow-up email to everyone with a reminder about August 1st, and also what the current situation is on available funds
yeah,
for
okay.
round 4.
So something
Okay.
about August 1st for the bond project, and then the July 31st due date for CVTA round 4, CVTA regional round 4. And how much money is available?
Yep.
Okay, yep. Okay.
Okay.
Next on our agenda is item 7, quarterly reporting update, regional projects.
Okay. This is for
Yay!
everyone who has done their homework.
Oh, that's not me.
All right. This is the member portal. Does it look unfamiliar to anyone? Okay, so once you are able to log in, this is, I think everyone has tried at least once, but what we've done here is add some boxes, and these are all selectable. If you go to View Online Documents and go through, there are 3 things here. First one, this one's for Amy. This is the Round 3 Regional Allocations Plan in the middle. So you can click there, and it'll download the allocations plan for your use. It's an Excel version, so you can change it up and do whatever you need to sort it in a local fashion. The next one is quarterly reporting for local. This is the latest Excel spreadsheet that I believe Joe took the first shot at, that is available for everyone to provide your quarterly updates on local CVTA dollars in terms of all the different projects. And the neat thing here is so you can download the Excel down here at the bottom. And then once you have it updated, I'm excited about trying this out. See this, there's a link here in the last paragraph. If you click on that, it'll open up a SharePoint folder on the CVTA page where you can upload your file, and we don't have to mess around with emails and dating and doing everything else. You could just place it in the folder. You all should have access. If you try it and you can't access it, please let me know. But you can use this link, every quarter to upload any updates to your local spending plans. Okay, and then the agenda item for today is the regional reporting. So if you have an approved SPA and you're currently going through the reimbursement process, what is included on this first link is a spreadsheet for the updated information that should be included with your Appendix A. So I'm going to go ahead and click that and download it. I don't know if it's going to be on the screen. Did that change?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is the updated appendices for your reimbursement request. So it includes the project details. This is all the same as the current format, but then there's a project summary section here in the middle to provide, basic high-level description of what the project is. Copy it from your CIP or whatever would be easiest for you, but something for the finance committee in particular, so that they understand what the project is doing and what the impacts are. And then there's a revised, less detailed schedule for updates here. So it's more general categories, but we have included an anticipated date for, this could be what you have included in your original SPA. But then any revisions should be included here. So if you anticipated your survey would start July 1, but it's actually going to be, September 1st, put that in the revision, in the revised date. And then just to note, so we can track it when the last update was done to that schedule. And this is really, I'll tell you, this is for the people that are signing off on the reimbursements, whether that's at the fiscal agent level or finance chair, because they have seen some dates when they get a reimbursement request, and the dates are 6 months out or 6 months behind, and questions come to me, and I'm like, I don't know. I'll check with the locality to see what the issue is. And I don't want to have to, chase you on every project that you're administering, because that's no fun for any of us. So I think that on a quarterly basis, and maybe you time it at the same time you're doing your local activity updates, update this information for the spot for the reimbursement request, and then just fold that in when you send me, your monthly or your whatever your time frame is, those requests, put the new information in the appendices. I will, not everyone is doing this yet, but I will ask, like, Joe or Barb, does that make sense in terms of fitting it into your workflows?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you go back to the member page?
Yeah.
And scroll down to see the headers. Okay, quarterly reporting local. And then you need us to update update the regional spend down plans. Are you going to put something in here for that? And you said that would be twice a year.
Yes, that's a good idea. I can do that.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I'll do the same kind of thing with the SharePoint link, so you can just upload it back. I wanted to see how this worked, but I'll go ahead and include that kind of link with all of these plans, all these quarterly updates. And then we'll adjust as needed if there's technical issues.
I put local front and center, like local quarterly reporting,
Okay.
regional reporting.
Okay. Okay.
It gets confusing,
Yeah.
keeping them straight. Okay, Joe?
Yeah, yeah, I think this is really good. I hadn't been here yet, so I'll look forward to that. I guess we create an account one of the first time we attempt to access it.
Yeah. Hopefully there's an email at some point from, I believe it came from information at Cvta that gives you a link, and then you would go onto the page and create your own password.
Hmm. I can't recall if I received that or not. But anyway, I'll look for it. If not, I'll get back with you guys.
Okay.
So, this is all good, but one more suggestion would maybe just kind of real simple. Even like a list form of all of the dates that we need to hit. Local reports are due this date just for like the calendar year, or just something that we can look at a glance. It doesn't, that we don't have to work at, like going into a calendar and page through months and so forth, but just these are the target dates. And I don't know, it's just a lot to keep up with. VDOT wants reports and TPO wants reports. My managers want reports, and it's all fine. I don't want to miss
I know.
anything.
The end of the quarter is killer.
Yeah.
So maybe, like the next end of the quarter is going to be the end of June. So that quarter should maybe be due 2 weeks afterwards, like July
Right.
16th.
That
or
makes
something.
sense. Yeah.
So if you could get those dates and put them front and center on these little columns, that would be great.
Okay.
Amy?
Oh, great, thank you, Madam Chair. Going back to the regional project reporting. In cases where a locality has secured CVT regional funding, but now VDOT has the SPA to get to, execute the project. Does the locality have access to that information, or is that just, how does that get entered in? Is it just like VDOT has their portal and Chesterfield has theirs, or how does that actually work in terms of our ability to go in and see what's going on with the projects? Specifically the ones that VDOT has taken over.
Sure. I mean, I think that's a good question. I think that's a discussion with VDOT. I mean, in terms of the reporting, VDOT will do the updates, especially in terms of the schedule.
Right.
But the output of this is intended to go for the benefit of the finance committee chair. But I would certainly think that finance committee would not see an issue with sharing all that information with TAC. But I think that's a question that would have to be asked.
Could it be in this portal just as a resource or documents, where you could go look at?
Yeah,
I
would
I
hate
don't
to
see
have-
why not. I'd like to run it by the finance chair first.
Yeah,
before we put
and
that
it
on
may
here.
just be that it's whatever locality the project is being managed by VDOT for, then we have access to that project status and that reporting and the spin down, because those funds have been, awarded to the locality that now VDOT is taking over. And, so there's, I think there's a little bit of due diligence on everybody's part, but especially on behalf of the locality, that we understand how VDOT is, spending those funds and the status of it, if indeed they don't provide that report to the locality. Again,
Yeah,
this goes
I mean,
back to how we all work together and to advance a project to make sure it's meeting its scope, schedule, and budget as it was intended via the application that was submitted by the locality that obtained the money.
yeah, I'll check, but
Okay.
I'm not going to commit at this point because you got to remember this reporting is bundled in with legal agreements between CVTA and whoever the administrator is of the project. So
But
I just
that
don't want to, I don't
CVTA
want to cross a line there where we're giving out information that isn't,
Okay, well, as I recall, those agreements required that the locality, that VDOT and the locality are communicating and that the locality is being kept up to date with what's going on. This isn't a CVTA project, it's funding for a locality. The locality has gone and achieved the funding that now we're allocating to VDOT to execute the project that we submitted for. Okay, so it's just that level of transparency on how the funding that we have achieved and been able to, have awarded through CDT regional funding.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's public information,
It
so.
is public information. So I guess, yeah, it's public information for sure.
Mark?
Yeah, Barb, thanks. I was just going to suggest that, from a VDOT perspective, we would have no concerns at all with any of our reporting being included on this member page and a member portal, just to make it, frankly, very easy for anybody to get to, whether that's the member locality or frankly, any other locality or member on the portal. So if that makes it easy to make that that information transparent, we obviously have no objection to that. It'd be a great place to just have one place to go to look for that
Yeah.
information if you needed it.
Exactly.
Mhm.
I was thinking too. Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Mark.
All right, is that it, Chet, on that one?
I believe it is.
Okay. Item number 8 is spend down plans, questions prior to the June 27th deadline. So the spend down plan being referenced here is the regional. We got to add regional, local to these headers.
Right.
So regional spend down plans,
Regional.
and that's going to be a twice a year exercise.
Correct. I don't have any updates. We talked about this at the last meeting. I just wanted to see if anybody had any questions or I believe you all should have it now in your possession in terms of what we're starting from, like a base, and then making any updates as needed.
Okay. All right. If there are no questions, Sharon, go ahead.
I had a quick question about the spend down plans. So we had added some new spas with the like the Fall Line Trail, and I didn't see them reflected on the spreadsheet. How do the localities add them, or is that something CVTA adds? Like I didn't see some.
Yeah, I would suggest any new projects, any new updates, just feel free to add them. They would go in an additional column across the page.
Okay. Will do.
If you need help, I mean, let me know.
Okay.
But I think it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it seems like whenever we execute a spa, it should be added to that spend down plan and that should be happening by the CVTA. Just add them as spas are executed, right? If you want the information, then it should be on the spreadsheet that's going out to people.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, I9 CVTA TAC member comments. Anyone have any comments? All right, short meeting, 15 minutes.
I will go
No,
through
an
and
hour
check.
and 45 minutes, or 45 minutes.
Yeah, Barb, I'll go through and check all the spas and make sure they're all on the spend down plan
Thank
and
you.
send that back
sounds
out to
good.
everybody. Does that work?
Okay, yeah, and if you're going to post it into that member page, then it'll all be there.
Okay.
All right, our next meeting is July 14th, but before we go, our homework. Let me see if I've got it all. We've got the regional spend down plan due July or June 27th, regional spend down June 27th. We've got local spend down plans due around July 16th. We've got CVT regional apps due July 31st, and we've got our one bond project due August 1st. I think I got everything. And Chet's going to send us an email with a reminder about the bond project and the CVTA regional round 4. All righty. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.